Coach, a lot of transition this offseason for you guys. A lot of new players on the roster, a lot of players leaving. Just what's this offseason been like for you guys getting prepared for, a new season, a new conference, and a new year for Oregon State Beaver women's basketball?
Maybe not as different as you'd think. You go into every year with a new version of people anyway. It's always new. And so this year, a year ago we had 6 new people. I think this year we have 7 new people. We had 7 returners last year. We had 5 this year. It's not that different. And so for me, it's just fun getting to know them, getting to figure out who we are now, getting just to help them each grow. And, for me, I'm a teacher. That's the fun of what I get to do. And so this year has been, in that way, encouraging and fun. We've just had a good time getting to know this group, and they're another special group that's progressing rapidly, which is all you can ask, and they're fun to work with every day, so it's been I've enjoyed it.
What's it been like getting to know them, and what have you seen from the squad already over, practices and the time getting to know them, obviously with the season just around the corner?
Well, I like them. I wouldn't have them here if I didn't. That was the process last spring of getting to know the new people, and we liked all of them. Felt very fortunate, actually. Over a month, 4 or 5 week period, where we found 7 new, additions to our roster, and it's been really fun to get them here, to get to know them, to get to know how they work, to get to know what motivates them. To take, the 5 returners to another level, get to know them, in a different way, because they all have different roles. And, so far it's been kind of what I'd hope or expect. We have a long ways to go, no question. But with that said, they're doing all the right things. This team plays hard, just like an Oregon State team typically does. They're coachable. The thing that I have been probably most pleased with, there's no ego in the gym at all. Everybody just wants to be good. They want to be a part of something special. They respect our program and what it's done in the past, and they come in with a great attitude and effort every single day. And so we're making huge strides. So last week, we started a week ago Tuesday. It's a little later than most, October 1, because our first game is a little bit later than most, on November 9th. And so our 5th practice was Saturday, this past Saturday, and we scrimmaged a little bit, and it looked, it was like organized. They absorbed a lot of information, put it together, communicated well, and executed. And so I've been very encouraged, by what I've seen, and I'm excited for the group because they all have maybe a little something to prove, which is not abnormal. That's what you hope for everyone, but I'm just excited to help them with it. Just the way we move the ball. I think the unselfishness was great. The defensive accuracy. I thought our decision making was easily the best of the week. Our shot selection was better than it had been. We had more assists than turnovers. Just taking care of it with a new group, that's saying something, and we have put some effort into the defensive end, which sometimes I don't start with defense because of that. I'd like the offense to gain some momentum, but I don't feel like I've had that luxury this year. We need to start with everything, and so we have got after each other, and they've absorbed it and played well within it, so I just thought our communication and just the overall organization was for as many people as we have that are new, it was impressive.
Last year, it felt like everything.
Respect the microphone. And etiquette. Etiquette 101.
To the back.
You briefly mentioned the returners. What did it mean to you to have those players when there was an off season where it felt like there was an announcement of a departure every day? We've got 2 of them right here that said, "Hey, I want to stay," when I'm sure they probably had offers to maybe look elsewhere too.
Yeah, sure. Everybody. That's everybody. This whole team's good. Everybody could leave if they want. Well, it meant the world. It meant that we get to continue the progression that we had begun. and that was what you mourn, you know, when people move on. It doesn't do you any good to waste too much time thinking about it. But the emotions of it, you know, it's sad because the vision that you have for that person, you know, and what you'd committed to on the front end changed, you know. And so for me, if it's for 2 years, it's 2 years. If it's for 3, 3, and if it's 4, 4, or whatever, you know, if it's 8, 8, you know. And so when that ends prematurely, yeah, there's a sadness to that. So for those who stayed, that remains, you know, and so I'm very excited to keep that process going, you know, and while there was uncertainty, you know, surrounding our situation as a athletic department, you know, especially during that stretch of time, and there was unrest because of it, the realities of our program remain. Who we are remains. The way we're supported remains. The funding remains. The staff remains. You know, I mean, it remains. And so, you know, for the people who stayed, I mean, I think what we do is pretty good. It's fun for all of us. It's a very special thing that we've built over now 14 years, and that's going to continue, you know. So they were able to see through all that, and in their situations saw the value of what we do, and that did mean a lot to me, you know, and so I'm excited to continue with them.
Sorry for talking out of turn. After the successes of last year, it kind of felt like every time something was brought up, everything went back to the Italy trip. I'm just curious, with so much turnover on the roster this year, how have you been able to kind of replicate that when you can't take that trip this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the process. We're in the process of that. You know, I mean, we have team retreat coming up still. You know, a year ago, it was like August was a team retreat, basically. And so you're right, that those years, once every 4 years, really does move you forward. So we're having to, you know, make up for that in the normal way. The other 3 out of every 4 years, you know, come together, challenge them in practice, make them communicate, come together as a team, provide opportunities to grow, you know, outside of the game and the gym, you know, with shared experiences. And so there's a plan for that throughout this month. And then certainly, you know, I mean, I'm already seeing great signs in those regards, you know, of a team that's unified, and, you know, the no ego thing is big, you know, going into that, because that means you're selfless, you're focused outside of yourself. It's not about you, it's about us, and this team does a really good job of that. So I feel like we're down the road already. If you didn't know they were new, you wouldn't know that when you came in the gym. You'd be like, oh, these guys have known each other for a long time, and it's like, it's pretty special, you know, just kind of how it's evolving. And that's on brand with us and how we recruit, I guess, to foster that, you know. So I think just the more shared experiences we have, the quicker and the better it will be, and that will happen, you know, between now and, you know, throughout the preseason, to be honest. The non-conference schedule is going to challenge us, and it's going to be great to see who we are when we're stretched to the limit.
Replacing Ray, Talia, and T isn't really a small undertaking. Just through these early practices, who have you kind of seen step up and kind of fill those roles and take on more leadership this season?
Well, the people sitting right here, you know, I mean, Kelsey and AJ have huge roles in that. I mean, they 2 starters off our team a year ago. Kennedy stepping in at the 1, you know, and she played a big role for us last year, backing up the 1. Natural leader in herself. Sela's stepping up, you know, and then and Sue, of course, Sue redshirted, you know, but provides just experience being in our program for a year, you know, and so it will continue to evolve, you know. But Kelsey had a huge, just a presence last year, coming in as somebody who had won at a high level and speaking life into that category for our team last year, a team that hadn't won. Maybe people have forgotten, you know, last year's team was completely unproven, didn't know how to win at the beginning of the year and had to learn. Kelsey had a big role in that. AJ had a huge role as well, just being one of the people that was determined not to lose. You know, I came here to win, we're going to win, you know, so we still have that within this, and that will be the driving force behind, you know, this year's efforts.
Going back to what you mentioned about this already feeling like a pretty close-knit, kind of cohesive group, like, who do you see leading the charge on that? Like, who's kind of fostered that team building, I guess, chemistry?
Well, I think that's similar. You know, I think Kelsey and AJ. You know, AJ last year, if anybody were to, it's funny they're sitting right here talking about them, but if anybody, you know, were to ask a year ago, like, who's the leader of this team at the beginning, certainly Talia had played the most on our team going into last year. She had the most minutes logged, you know, so you would think, and the ball in her hands quite a bit, you know, so you'd say, well, Talia's a natural leader on the floor. The group talked about AJ more than anybody, just being the spirit of this team and bringing the joy and the energy and being that galvanizing presence, you know, and she was from the very beginning last year as this group formed, you know, and so she's still here, sitting right here, you know, and so she has that same role. She's doing that for us. You know, she's been out, you know, rehabbing, you know, an off-season surgery to clean up stuff, and now she's back 100%, and now she's back on the floor, and it's beautiful to watch, you know, just her presence already, you know, and then, like I mentioned, Kelsey's voice and Kennedy having the ball in her hands is kind of like the ultimate competitor. I mean, she just kind of oozes confidence and commands respect with the way she operates, and, you know, so it's nice to have, you know, those three in particular, and I'd say that's probably, you know, along with Sela, of course. Yeah, taking care of everyone.
Brand new team, a lot of changes, and then you go and you schedule a game with UConn in early in the season. What's a game like that do for this program at that stage and everybody coming together?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, elite program in every category, right? And when you think back over all of these years, we've always had 2 games with Stanford, you know, and while UConn has won more championships than Stanford has, there are similarities with the excellence that Tara coached with and, you know, UConn and Gino have played with and operated with. There's a reason that they've won as much as they have. And when you play against teams like that, you just learn, bottom line. Of course you want a shot to beat them, of course. That's why you play, is you're trying to win. But no matter what, you're gonna learn a lot about yourself. You're gonna learn, you know, what needs to get better, and you're also gonna learn what's good. And so when you put teams like that on the schedule, that's your hope, you know, is to get that opportunity to compete against a great team, see who you are. It's fun, you know, in every way. And then you find out, you know, who you are, maybe more so than any other, you know, game on your schedule. And that's really important, you know, the earlier in the year that you experience that, so you have more time to respond to that. So, you know, when Stanford was on our schedule early January, I liked it. We're gonna learn a lot, you know, this weekend, hopefully beat them, you know, but no matter what, we're gonna learn a lot, and we're gonna be a better team for it.
Off the court, so much has happened in the last year, 18 months. Now there's some certainty going forward. You're going to have this 2-year partnership with the WCC, and then come back to a rebuilt Pac-12. What's it mean to you to have some certainty on the other side of this interim couple of years?
Yeah, it's helpful. You know, I mean, that's been a real challenge, you know, to try to operate within the parameters kind of moving, or we're in, you know, the rumor mill constantly, you know, checking X or whatever to find out what our future is, and, you know, all those things. It's been very similar for us, you know, even within it, not knowing. And so to have some stability, as you mentioned, is certainly helpful, just to kind of know this is where we're headed, this is where we're going. You know, so with the goalposts being planted a little bit instead of moving, that's only helpful, you know, going forward, as we're making decisions for our future, and, you know, and especially in the recruiting process. You know, I mean, I think that's where it's the most helpful, you know, is just to kind of be able to speak from certainty, as you mentioned, instead of ambiguity. And so, yeah, so we're glad for that.
Obviously, football is the driver behind so much of this change, and yet the Pac-12 made the decision to add Gonzaga as even though it doesn't have a football program, but to add Gonzaga in all the other sports. What does it mean for women's basketball to bring Gonzaga on board?
Yeah, I thought that was great. You know, I think you know, that's a proven program, of course. You know, they were a top 16 seed a year ago. I had 2 draft picks. Basketball school, when you think of Gonzaga, you think basketball, men's and women's. Of course, you think more men's, but you don't have to look too far to understand how good the women have been for a long, long time. And so, you know, I think that's just only good, you know, to have them join us as we're establishing ourselves now as a new Pac-12 that we want to be known for basketball as well. And so, yeah, no negative.
It wasn't just players that left on your staff. Aaliyah left, but you went in, got another Beaver legend. In what ways have you seen Sydney be able to help impact this team early on?
Every way positive. I've been trying to hire Sydney for, what year did you graduate? 2017. And so ever since then, you know, I knew she needed to go play and do what she does, you know, but there's only one Sydney Weiss. You know, she's just one of those people that gets it at the highest level of all things that actually matter in life. You know, she just makes every room better. She cares about people like very few do. She handles her stardom as well as anybody I've ever seen. She'll never even give you her resume unless you ask her. She's one of those people, you know, and so she's, you know, what I think it's supposed to be all about, you know. So with me, she's on brand. You know, she is just, you know, a great person that now is hungry to learn, you know, from a new, on the other side of the ball, the other side, whatever you want to say, you know, with a whistle around her neck now instead of a headband on her head, you know. And so it's very special to have her join us. I'm so happy for our players, you know, that they're getting to learn from her. You know, to have her and Devin, you know, that's 2 absolute legends that got it done at the very highest level here, 2 4-year starters that went through, you know, so much together and with our program, with this community. They love this place, you know, and so Sid coming back, you know, here's what I'd say. When she joined us in I think it was September 2012 when she committed, you know, in the Hilton Garden Inn, the morning of her official visit, Sunday morning, right before she left. You know, she's wearing an Oregon State shirt, and I'll never forget the emotion, you know, because it was like we had to get her. I mean, we had this team, we needed a point guard, you know, so the relief that she committed and the excitement, I would say, you know, perfect person, perfect time. I would say that again, you know, this year, having her join us when she did, you know, for all that it means for our program, and we're so thankful to have her. And it's fun to watch her work, to be honest. It's just great to watch her. She's got all this experience, all these years of bouncing around the world, playing professionally, playing in the W for 5+ years, learning from so many other coaches, and now bringing all of that wisdom and experience back to the program. That's just so special, you know, so yeah, perfect.
Last one to Brett, so we have time to get AJ and Kelsey up.
Coach, obviously a lot of interest last year in Oregon State athletics, and specifically just thinking of football with Jonathan Smith and what he did with the program, and schools looking to bring him to that, and obviously he ended up going to Michigan State. I would imagine there were a lot of eyes on what you have been doing here in Corvallis, and specifically what you did last year. I'm just curious, did any schools reach out to you this offseason to try to get you to go from Corvallis to help rebuild their program? And if so, obviously, what went into the decision to stay here, and why do you think it's important to continue to build the program here in Corvallis?
I did not entertain one. That was not even a thing last year. This is where I love being. You know, I've been here 14 years now. If I wanted to leave, I probably would have left a long time ago. I'm not ever going to say never. That would be silly, because I would have told you I never was going to leave George Fox, you know, 14 years ago. I was going to be there till I died, and I was happy, you know. Well, I'm happy here. We love it here. Fit, in the recruiting process, I say opportunity and fit. This is a great fit for me. You know, I love where I get to work. I love this place. This is home, of course, you know, and for our family, we've flourished here. And so through all the chaos, there was never an unrest in me, like, man, I got to bounce out of here. You know, it's like, I never thought that way. It wasn't you know, even if it was maybe logical, because people told me, what are you doing? You know, you should be looking, no, I'm like, why? You know, and so for me, I just am at peace being at my school, continuing what we've started and what we've done. You know, and now I'm excited to figure out, and you know, the new path forward, whatever it may be. I'm just kind of been curious, like, okay, how are we going to do it now? You know, so this is the third rebuild in a way, all outside of our control. You know, it was the initial build from, you know, not much here when I got hired. You know, then the COVID craziness that we experienced, and now the conference craziness that we've experienced. You know, and so through it all, Oregon State is a great, and Corvallis is a great place to be. You know, there's a great quality of life here that we've really enjoyed, and I get to recruit amazing people, you know, to this place, and that will continue.
So you might have heard, Coach was talking about your leadership last season, AJ, and your role on the team. That might not have been something that was evident from the outside. Is that just because of the way that you lead and your style? And what does it mean to carry that forward now in a completely new situation where this team's clearly relying on you?
Yeah. I don't think it's anything I really think about doing. I think it is just who I am. I enjoy being around my teammates, and I enjoy making, you know, all of them comfortable in this new transition, because it is scary to come here. You know, a lot of them are coming from smaller schools, and this is intimidating. So just, you know, comforting in them in any way I can and making them feel welcome, it just comes pretty naturally. So I don't really think about it. So I get why maybe you don't see it on the court or anything like that, but yeah, it's just what I do. It's just who I am.
Obviously, at the end of last year, everybody had to make decisions for themselves. You made the decision to stay. What was the biggest part of that?
I didn't really think about it too hard. I told Scott, obviously he's the first person I talked to when all this started to happen. I told him, as long as you're not going anywhere, I'm not going anywhere. You know, I committed to him, and I love playing for him. I love being here, so it was an easy decision.
Hey, Kelsey, same question for you. You've been through this process before. What made you stay here in Corvallis?
Yeah, I think just the vision of the program, what Scott had put forward to where he wanted me to go and how he could help me achieve that, and how he would bring in the team, and what he saw in the future. And I think last year there was so many good things that happened, and so many things that the coaches were able to do that helped me believe that no matter what happened with the rest of the team, they'd bring in good players and would still have a path forward. And I think I just trusted in that and their vision in it all.
We were talking about Sid joining the coaching staff. Growing up in Texas, do you remember Sid playing here? Did that make any impression on you? Do you remember her?
I don't remember watching her when I was younger and when she was here, but obviously being here a couple years, I've heard lots of stories about her. You know, Devin played with her, so I've heard Devin talk about her. But it's super fun to have her here. Obviously, like, you know, a lot of us have ambitions to go play pro after we're done here, so having that experience from her and Devin has been huge.
I guess for both of you, just what has, you know, Scott kind of talked about it, but he said, you know, if you looked and saw the people that are new here, you wouldn't know that they were new here. What has that been like? Just acclimating, chemistry, and then just what you're seeing on the floor with them as far as integrating them into the OSU style of basketball.
I think for me, I was at home most of the summer, so they'd already come in and had that first little experience. But it was really cool to see once I got back and we're back as a full team, how confident they were already, and how they had, even over those last couple of weeks, just being at Oregon State, they'd learned to trust themselves a bit more, and seeing that continue as we go into training more, and just helping them find that confidence. And they're all such good players, and they'll do great things.
Yeah, and I've been on the sidelines rehabbing for the last couple weeks, so seeing it from that point of view, everyone's just ready to learn. And, you know, Scott, like he said, he's a teacher, and he just makes this transition really easy, and he picked up great people off the floor, so it just makes all of that so easy to come together real quickly.
AJ, earlier this week you posted on your Instagram story Ashton Gentry's obviously quote about, money is great, but building a legacy means something more. Why do you feel like you staying here and building your legacy here in Corvallis was more important than leaving and taking the money? And Kelsey, same thing with you in regards to that.
My freshman year was when NIL started and everything, so during my recruiting process, that was never really something I thought about because it wasn't a thing yet. So I think coming here, that wasn't my goal. It wasn't for the money. So staying here, it's the same thing. It's not for the money. It's not for any of that. This is my home. This is a place I love to be. I've created great relationships here. I love playing for my coaches, and that's it.
Yeah, we had one of the Hall of Fame Oregon State football players at practice yesterday, and I think he put it best. There's a lot of places that you could go to that are already built, that already have everything, and no matter how well you do, you're just kind of part of it, and that's a good thing. But coming here, it's something that there's a team here, and together we can build something that's special that in the future they'll look back on and be like, yeah, that was the start of the new era after conference fell apart, but Oregon State was still able to bring people in and build on that and really, show the world that no matter what the team goes through, because of the pieces here and because of how good the community and the basketball staff is, we can just keep building on that.
AJ, this offseason, obviously you had surgery. Can you just kind of explain just what that process was like, how it impacted your kind of game and your play last year, and just what it's felt like to come into this season fully healthy and ready to go?
Yeah, it definitely was difficult last season. I was dealing with it pretty much all of the season, but from the beginning, I knew it was going to be a special year, and obviously it was. So it was totally worth it. I got the surgery shortly after the season, and I'd never been out for a long period of time for basketball. I've never had an injury or surgery or anything like that. So it was definitely interesting to take that new perspective on the sport. I feel like a lot of our teammates have experienced injuries and experienced that, but I haven't. So challenging my leadership in a different way, talking from the sidelines rather than being a part of it and leading by example, having to use my voice was a big challenge for me, but it's honestly helped me grow a lot, and I'm back. So.
What was the surgery, and just can you kind of explain what it was like playing through that last year? Just I'm assuming through the pain. What was that like for you?
So I had tore my ligaments in my ankle and chipped some cartilage off. So I got ligament reconstruction, and they had to repair some cartilage. So it was pretty painful. It was definitely a mental challenge most of the season. But again, I would do anything to be on the floor with my teammates last season, and that was honestly the biggest thing that was pushing me through the whole season.
Last season, this question's for both you guys. The national media had zero expectations for what this program was going to do, and you guys surprised the nation, making it all the way to the Elite Eight, taking South Carolina down to the wire in Albany, New York. Do you feel like that kind of is the same storyline this year with all the transition, the new pieces that Oregon State women's basketball has, that you guys are going to have to once again prove to the country that you are a program that should be looked at, should be feared, and that can definitely compete for a national title this season?
Definitely, but I think that's what we enjoy doing. Last year it was so fun I knew we had confidence in ourselves from the beginning, but to show people over time and to just prove those results, because it's not really something you can talk about and tell them about. It's really something you have to show, and I think we did that so well, and just the opportunity to do that again and really prove all those people that don't believe in us wrong again is there, and it's exciting for everyone, I believe.
Yeah, and like Scott said earlier, this is a team that no one has egos on this team. I think we're all kind of underdogs in our own sort of way. So it's going to be really exciting to see that all come together.
She'll be new to us this year, but she was with you guys all last year. I'm just curious what Sue's been like, and I was talking to Scott earlier. I heard there were a couple times last year where she hooped on you guys, and with the scout team. I'm just curious, what are your kind of expectations for her this year, and what's it been like seeing her, after a year of not getting to play, get the mix this season?
It's been awesome. She's grown so much last year, just how far she's come, and she's a really good defender now, and how confident she is in her play style. And there was one play in particular last week that was just crazy. She was like, I think I was probably guarding her, to be honest, but she was backing me down, and she shimmy, and then went over her left shoulder, which is a really tough shot to hit as a right-hander, and swished it. And yeah, she's done really well, and I'm so excited for her to get the chance to actually step on the floor and play in front of that Gill crowd, because it's an awesome thing to do.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to fall in love with Sue pretty quickly. She'll knock down that deep three and Gil's gonna go insane, and everyone's gonna be so excited.